So I spoke to my mum last night and I told her, she said, what's been one of your highlights of the festival? And I said, Le Mans 66 is brilliant. And she just said, I'm not really interested in racing. And I thought and I tried to say to her, I was going to say to her, you don't need to be a fan of racing. I'll let you do it instead. So for those who aren't huge Formula One fans or big fans of racing, what does this movie offer people?
Well, I'm the least convincing because I made it. So but I will say that, yes, my focus, I didn't like racing. I am not a big motorsports fan. I like cars, but what was interesting to me was the characters, the unique characters that are brought together by the story, whether it's Carroll Shelby or Ken Miles, played by Matt and Christian, or it's Henry Ford and Enzo Ferrari. What's really interesting is that everyone's in this race for very personal reasons. And it is a movie we've discovered when we screen it that women as well as men love. So it's more a challenge of just kind of escaping that image of the boy picture.
So what was it about this story that you just really wanted to tell?
Well, for me, it's a universal story about fighting to get something done, about friends working together to try and accomplish something against all odds, not just the odds of the track or the challenge of the competition, but also in this most modern of worlds, the challenge of competing when you have corporations and marketing concerns and all sorts of other issues holding you back. And that, for me, it was also even very much about, for people like me, what I identified with the fight to get movies made, or better movies made, in a kind of trashiest of all worlds.
I mean, the cast is obviously incredible, and I just wondered, when Christian Bale came on board, I mean, was it just off the back of Vice? And if so, I'm assuming he might have had to have lost a bit of weight for this part as well.
It was not even off the back of Vice; it was before Vice came out. But he had to lose all that weight. In fact, when I saw Christian about 8 to 10 weeks before we started, and he still looked more like Cheney than Christian, I was a little concerned. He was a little concerned, but he managed to pull it off.
Because what does that commit? Because he obviously brings. I mean, that's just emblematic of his commitment he brings to every project he's in. What does that bring to a set when you've got someone like the leading actor of a movie, when they put that much into a role and that much into a character, that must raise the game of pretty much everyone around him.
Well, it does. I think that for both Matt and Christian, on every movie, the stars of a film have a kind of function to do their own job and play their own roles, but as a kind of leadership, they set the tone for the show. I do all I can, but the actors do a large part, and establish, in their cases, since this was a film really essentially about friendship and working together, their attitude was so generous on the movie, and in many ways, all the supporting players, there's many other fine actors in the film, all felt as heard and as watched and as listened to as they did. And I think they're both very generous and, as you say, inspiring actors.
Because I was reading that the film this story was nearly made with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, sort of 10, 20 years ago or something. I was just wondering, did you have to kind of just double check and clear that wasn't still in the hands of anyone? Was there a rights issue or anything to get this made?
No, that was over. Whatever that was, I'm not sure it ever got that close, but I think that was not happening. I mean, because the studio would have been very concerned about a competing project. We're worried enough whether people will come see an automotive racing movie, let alone F2 were coming out at the same time.
So what about, I mean, in terms of budget, I mean, it looked like, unless the special effects were really, really good, that you had to destroy quite a lot of nice, expensive cars. Was that the case?
Well, we had to destroy a lot of cars that we built, reproductions. The truth is, everyone asks, did you use the real cars? And the truth is, if we used a real Ferrari from 1966, it would be worth $30 million, which is a third of our budget right there. So there's no way you could be racing, crashing, and near missing with actual vintage vehicles. It would have been the most expensive movie in the history of mankind.
And of course, of late, a lot of people have been talking about the Joker movie. And I was just wondering, because obviously you're the helmer of Logan, and it feels like films like the Joker are being made now as a result of Logan. Logan felt quite groundbreaking, I think, at the time, a darker spin-off of from a superhero franchise. But when you were making Logan, did it feel like at the time that you were making something that was going to have quite a huge impact and a ripple effect on the genre it sits in?
I don't know if we were making it felt like it, but when it came out, it felt like something had changed. Because of the way audiences were so appreciative, not just of the darkness of Logan, because in many ways it's also a very emotional and sweet film, but obviously with a serious edge. But also what was my focus was the humanistic element, what dark or light, that there was a more naturalism, that the formula of the comic book movie had become, to me, a little tired, and trying to break out of that, really for me was just, what if I was making a movie about a real person, not a kind of fable or fairy tale, who happened to have all the real circumstances that these superheroes have, but that the film was grounded as if I were making film about a cop or a postal worker or someone, a librarian. How would, if I wasn't doing all of the kind of exaggerated, kind of hyperbolic superhero sell to the film, if the film existed in a more human space. And I think there's plenty of room in many different tones, dark and light, for people to explore a slightly more subdued or realistic version, a more adult version of that fantasy world.
So just finally, what's coming up next for you? Are you still attached to Crenshaw? Is that still a project you're...
It's something I'm working on. What coming out next year, I don't even know what I'm shooting next, but I'm working on that as well as several other things.
So that's, as from what I haven't read the book, but it's about a massive cat. Is all
Indeed, indeed.
So I'm going to get... Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,